The wild robot almost wrecked me.
Emotional, damn it!
From striking visuals to the amazing voice cast to the very simple but effective story about motherhood and belonging. This is one of the best blockbusters from an animation studio that we've gotten in a long time that we don't really get anymore. But is there more than meets the eye under the hood of this robot? Let's talk about it. Shipwrecked on a deserted island, a robot named Roz must learn to adapt to its new surroundings, building relationships with the native animals, and soon develops a parental bond with an orphaned gosling that she must teach how to survive. I feel like everyone will significantly understate how great this movie looks. The animation is absolutely outstanding and gorgeous because fantastic from frame one to the last frame. While there's a lot of movies that have brilliant sections of animation and the animation kind of resets, this one looks like art through and through. The watercolor art style kind of feels familiar, but the execution feels unique as the backgrounds and the characters leap off the screen in an explosion of color. The animation is worth the price of admission and will almost bring you to tears of how beautiful it is. This is backed by a rousing soundtrack and score that sweeps you up and gets you into the emotional state that you need to be in for this film. Backed by a trio of great protagonists and a lovable side characters, this movie has all the elements for a great recipe for a film that's going to be great for adults and kids at the same time. But the characterizations of the characters are not just lovable, fun, and relatable. They go even further by having an all-star cast featuring Pedro Pascal, Stephanie Sue, Mark Hamill, and much, much more. But of course, the lead of the movie is Lupita Nyongo, who I think is one of the best actresses on the planet. I've said this multiple times. She is Roz. She voices the character and she does a brilliant job. She has to start the character where she kind of sounds like a walking ad, because this character is trying to complete tasks, is built to complete tasks for beings, and she slowly becomes like a human robot. And that transition from how robotic she sounds towards the end of the movie, how human she sounds, I think was really, really great. She did a great job bringing so much emotion to this inorganic object. And that performance helps the movie explores ideas of the greatness and difficulties of motherhood even between surrogate families. So this movie reminds me a lot of something like The Iron Giant, like a modern version of The Iron Giant, and maybe even E.T. Those feelings when you watch that movie, that feeling of being a kid again and watching a movie you want to explore and stay and chill with the characters. With Iron Giant, that movie was a movie about loss, and E.T. obviously is a movie about divorce. This one really focuses on found family and how you learn to work together to be a found family and an effective one. And the execution of this film is where it stands out. This premise, the way the story plays out, it's nothing you've never seen before. We've seen it in a ton of animated films, TV shows, and live action films before, but it's the execution which makes it great. Everything is firing on all cylinders, and your movie doesn't have to be super original to be great. You just have to execute it well, and the wild robot does it in spades. The movie's a roller coaster of emotions. You'll be laughing one minute, you'll be crying another, you'll be thrilled the next, and that's why if you have a sensitive heart, you probably will cry. The growing relationship between Roz the robot, Bright Bill the Gosling, and Fink the Fox was not only engaging, exciting as we go through their building the relationship and then going through their journey and struggling to survive on this island and all the little intricacies that go along with the story. Was really what the heart of the film was, and I really loved all three of those characters. Very, very memorable, all having their own different motivations, but they're all tied into each other, and I think they all did a great job characterizing these characters so you can feel attachment to each character while also being voice cast brilliantly. And this movie tackles where you want to be versus where people telling you where you deserve and should be. And I think that's something that I think kids will really, really resonate with, and adults as well, because there's a commercial consumerism, anti-consumerism point here. It's not in your face, but it's a little bit an underbelly of the plot that I think a lot of adults will understand. My biggest gripe with this movie is that I wish there was a couple more kinks in the film that made it stand out a little bit more in terms of the plot. The movie is pretty straightforward. The premise is pretty straightforward. The plot is very predictable if you've seen a ton of animated films. Even though it was executed really well and it's really entertaining, to kind of take it over the top, I wish there was just something just extra thing, a little extra twist or turn to really elevate it past just being one of the greats movies and being one of the greatest of all time. So that was like a small gripe I had with it. Another gripe I had was there was a character that's introduced in the second half of the film that starts kind of spewing off these wise things that came on kind of cringy and corny at times. It wasn't too much, but the section of that character came in and he was saying it over and over, and I was like, oh, is this what this movie's turning into? And then it kind of tapered off in the end. But that was like a really, really small gripe. Those few chinks in armor didn't stop me from smiling from end to end when I wasn't crying. Like I saw the ending of Pursuit of Happiness again. The first act of this film is really fun and explorative. The second act is heartwarming, and the third act is thrilling. It's definitely a great roller coaster that you can go watch on your own or bring a kid with you, and you guys will have a good time. This is a great family adventure. With that said, I'm going to give The Wild Robot a B. Question of the day is, what is your favorite movie, animated movie featuring a robot? Drop all your comments down below and let me know. And you watch more of my content.